JNU has recently established a special center on disaster research. This is a unique experiment that JNU has taken up. Being a university and connecting with the communities who are facing the problems because of the disasters, we will be in a good position to suggest to the government to formulate good policies so that the society is less affected by the disasters.
We are very happy that the National Institute of Disaster Management, it has got this partnership with JNU. The research on the field and the training aspects, these are going to get together. So I think this particular center in JNU is going to be a center of excellence, and we are going to see great result in the future time.
This country needs disaster management. This country needs support for the communities. This country needs a system of law where it's not just the sterile words passing through the courts and through the tables of the judges, but we need law that speaks about the sensitivities and about the vulnerabilities of the grassroots communities. They have been suffering for ages, and we want them to come out of it, be liberated.
Disasters is actually calling for every individual, irrespective of caste, race, sex, to be prepared for the natural and man-made disasters. So for this, the Disaster Management Act 2005 has laid down that under Section 42(8), that there has to be institutional planning and then training and mitigation plan by every department. So this is a very important imperative taken by the government.
While we have made a lot of progress in understanding the natural sciences side of disasters, geophysical hazards as well as hydrometeorological hazards, I think it is important to look at what are the social processes which lead to the build-up of risk, what makes communities vulnerable, what is it that happens in our social systems which translates hazards into disasters. So in this context, any effort to look at the socio-economic dimensions of disasters and understand the sociology of disasters is a very welcome initiative.
Look at a country the size of India, the diversity of India, from the islands to the high mountains to desert, to the plains, to swamps, to mangroves. There is a whole variety of geographical features and a whole variety of disasters. It could be a chemical disaster, could be a normal industrial disaster, could be floods, could be drought, could be a cyclone, a tsunami. So when you look at the full complexity of the task, anchoring a center in an academic institution would be really good for policymakers. Policymakers not only at the union government level but at the states level, and I'm sure that this center will do this job. To tackle disaster, we have to have adequate knowledge. So in order to generate knowledge, we have to have centers of expertise who can enlighten us on the issues of disaster in course of time. So from that point of view, I think a center of disaster management in a prime university like JNU is a very welcome design.
Looking at disaster through the social scientist lens is the need of the hour, and this is what we plan to do, and this is what we are committed to do at JNU.
Policy comes out of the feedbacks we receive. If we have a very strong research team, that will enhance our capacity to think and then formulate a proper and right policy, whatever is required for the society. So having a backup of this kind of program is going to help us a lot.
It's a great initiative by Jawaharlal University because of the skill sets and the expertise we have in various schools, whether it's natural sciences or social sciences.
We all are very excited about the launch of Special Centre for Disaster Research in disaster risk reduction and climate change. Not only the role of state is important, we need to bring about more institutions, like we need to bring about civil society organization, we need to bring about NGOs, we need to bring about academic institutions like Jawaharlal Nehru University.
We started somewhere in 2012, just before Uttarakhand disaster. We have been talking about the space. Space is central, where the convergence of various other disciplines which are studying, doing research over development activities, governance, and also the vulnerabilities. And 2013 disaster make it an important point on an urgent basis to take these things forward and come up with the policy interventions so that we reduce the mortality number of human population affected by these disasters.
After a lot of struggle and a long journey, we have been able to establish a center, a special center for disaster research in Jawaharlal Nehru University. We did not have any such centers where multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity as well as transdisciplinarity have been embedded within the whole system of this center.
This center would be very important in the sense that the students will do their master's program and research program based on what has been happening in the disaster prone areas. They will collect the data from the field, and this field data will be then analyzed properly, and after analyzing the data we will try to find out how best techniques, best methods can be adopted to overcome the effects of the disasters.
DRP comes as a fresh change because it brings in the perspective of the people, comes in with what people actually thought of disasters and how disasters could actually make the lives of people in a very, it could really spin people off their lives. So why not talk about people and actually hear what people wanted? And in terms of the reach to the youth, it is very important because every change, and this has been a phenomenon worldwide, that change starts with the youth. So it is very important for us to incorporate the youth in terms of training, in terms of dissemination, in terms of being the harbingers of change.
The pathway that is taken by the Special Centre of Disaster Research tries to incorporate huge number of youth under its program and sort of involve everybody in the country's disaster risk reduction strategies.
Coming from legal fields and after studying so much of cases, I always used to think that what's going to happen and how these cases are going to make some difference to normal people. But when I have worked with the center, now I know that no, there is some area which is going to make huge difference to the life of common people. And I'm very happy and I'm looking forward for the opening of this center.
This is a very good opportunity for all of us to learn about the natural hazards and disaster, and particularly like I am from state of Jammu and Kashmir, which fall in the Himalayan region, which is very much prone to disastrous activity. So I think it will give a chance for me as well as many other youths coming from that region to learn about the disaster mitigations programs and many other activities related to disasters.
Yeah, I'm free.
I personally feel now the time has come that this should be, these efforts, these management efforts, preparedness, management, etc., should be part of a serious study centers such as one which is being started at JNU is not a day too late. Such centers can definitely help in the policy formation, in better coordination of the efforts that we have. So I think it's a great beginning.
This center in JNU will mostly talk about the intangible research, where we'll talk about the community participations and the policies that we have in India and how the policy makers are implementing, what are the loopholes, right, in these policies.
With this special center in JNU for disaster risk reduction will go a long way in contributing to the larger role of governance and public policy in the country, and how it becomes very important in involving a lot of stakeholders and actors from universities to institutions to private players to educational bodies in creating awareness and preparedness related to disaster risk reduction.
In collaboration with National Disaster Management Authority and National Institute of Disaster Management, we intend to go ahead with a lot of research and complement with the training aspects of NIDM so that our knowledge base, our research findings can get into the policy making and also in training the disaster management professionals.